Hi, everyone. It's Melissa.
And Desiree.
Welcome to another episode of Teen Gen Talks, where the goal is to empower the youth of Glendale and connect youth to community resources, individuals, and organizations through interviews and discussions.
Today's special guest is Itzel Islas. Itzel is a freelance graphic designer and illustrator from Tijuana, Mexico, and is currently living in San Diego, California. Itzel's work is inspired by Mexican culture, vibrant color palettes, and playful elements of everyday life. Her main medium is the computer, but she also loves sketching and incorporating hand-drawn elements into her designs. As founder and CEO of Yayitzel, Itzel's mission since 2016 has been to create a positive bicultural impact through design and empower folks to pursue their career creatively.
But before we get started, don't forget to follow us on our socials on Facebook and Instagram at MyGlendaleLAC. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify and Apple or anywhere where you listen to your podcasts. Also, make sure to give us a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Glendale Library Arts and Culture, where we post the full episodes every Friday at 4:30 p.m. So thank you, Itzel, for taking the time out of your day to talk with us. We have a lot to discuss.
Yes, thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited.
So to start off the interview, how did you fall in love with graphic designing and illustrating? Were you always drawn to it, or drawn to the more creative side, or was it something you learned you loved to do later on in life?
I was definitely always drawn to creative things. Like I always drew as a kid, and I've always liked fashion, so I always liked like dressing up and doing different outfits together. But design I wasn't even aware of it until I was graduating high school and I was trying to figure out what to do. So I stumbled upon it, and that's how I ended up here.
So how did you make that decision to start doing freelance work?
I was doing a little bit of freelance right after college, and then I got a full-time job, and I was there for a very long time. And I kind of stopped doing it, and I didn't pick it back up until I started doing my personal project, which was Yayitzel. And I didn't go full-time. Like I would freelance and work full-time at my job. And then it wasn't until around June of last year, 2020, that I decided to just go full freelance.
Going back to how in high school you fell in love with graphic designing and all of that stuff, what exactly was that moment that kind of, clicked for you?
Well, it was basically, I wanted to do photography. And yeah, I was looking for a college, and the nearest one was in Santa Barbara. And my parents, I'm guessing they were like trying to keep me here. They're like, and my mom was like, hey, a friend of mine, their daughter is doing graphic design. Maybe it's something that could interest you. And I had no clue what that was. So I went to the school and I toured the campus and I heard what it was about. And when they told me it was designing, it was taking photos, it was just a mix of a bunch of things that I liked, that to me were like, this could work. This sounds interesting. And I kind of just went for it without even fully understanding what it was. But I mean, luckily I ended up falling in love with it, and here I am still doing it.
Your work is inspired by Mexican culture, but how exactly do you incorporate or know what to incorporate when creating a piece of work?
So the way I started, like I said, I used to have a full-time job, and my brand, like Yayitzel, that Instagram, which turned into my brand, and my freelance work all stemmed from me just trying to have fun, because at work I felt very limited sometimes, and I had to follow direction and whatever parameters they gave me. So this was like something that was just for me to do without anyone to tell me anything. So it started from a place of having fun, and I do think I still carry that with me. So essentially, a lot of the work I do are just things that make me happy, that feel like I'm having fun. And I think that's the main, never taking it too seriously. And I think that's the main component in my work.
And throughout your journey as a graphic designer and illustrator, what has been the toughest part?
Well, first of all, making the leap of
Mm.
going full-time freelance, because that was super scary. I didn't think I was ready, and I was thinking about it for several years before I actually made the jump. So that was, I guess, like the believing I was ready. And I didn't even, it was like circumstances that just like led to me having to do it. And then once being in it, and now I'm like, oh, I was totally ready. I don't know why I was so scared, but I think it's very human. Um, and then the other thing is, as far as freelancing goes, just the financial part, just figuring out all the things that come with it. Because before there was an HR and taxes were
Mhm.
done, like everything was basically ready. And now it's figuring it out. I have an LLC, and it was figuring how to even do that, where to go. So it's been a lot of those little things that I've had to figure out and don't feel as easy as design does.
When you have a creative block and you're not feeling creative enough, what do you do to like overcome that?
I just design. I just design even if I don't feel like it, even if
Mhm.
I'm working and I don't like it and I'm hating the work or I think it looks like trash. Like I just keep going, because eventually I found that my brain just like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but it just like, from being ugly and feeling like I don't like that, it turns into something fun and I find something I like in the end. So I've always found that it's easier to just like push myself through it.
You're also the founder and CEO of Yayitzel. Could you talk a little bit about the mission behind Yayitzel and how it came to be?
Yes, of course. So it all started, like I said, as an Instagram for me to have fun. And I would create these designs and upload them. I had maybe 5 followers, like my friends, you know?
Mhm.
And so it was just like a place for me to have fun and be creative outside of work. And then little by little, I started seeing more people responding to the work, especially when I was doing more of my Mexican or Latina inspired work. I started seeing a really good response. And I just kept going with it. And I I think I made a pin first. That's how my merch started. And it was just so fun for me. So I started making little by little more. And now it's turned into an online shop without me even realizing it. I'm like, oh, I basically created a little brand. And yeah,
And how do you balance, having your own business, doing freelance and like your life? How do you balance it all?
that's a good question. I try to not work Friday or Saturday and Sunday now.
Mm.
That's my balance, because I do tend to work a very like long hours sometimes during the week. And also, I was just having this conversation with a friend. I ended up doing what was fun for me as a career.
Mm.
So that literally is fun for me. If I'm bored, sometimes I design and I'm like, okay, that I need to not do that. I need to not work sometimes. So I try to make myself not work on Saturday and Sunday. So that's my balance.
For anyone watching that is interested in graphic design and illustrating, what is a tip that you would give them?
I would say look into it. And thankfully now there are so many designers and illustrators on Instagram that you can get a really good idea of what it's like. There are great free courses and people talking about it on YouTube, and there are amazing paid classes on Skillshare. So I would always say do a little bit of research before jumping into it. And if people can't afford it, I know sometimes it's not possible, then looking into a community college or a university.
And you're a graphic designer and illustrator. You're Latina, and that's an inspiration for younger Latinas who are trying to be a graphic designer in a field related to yours. So what does all of this mean to you? Being Latina and in this field.
I am so glad. I am very I am glad because when I started, and this was one of the things that pushed me, it was that I didn't know of any Latina designers. I'm sure there were tons out there, but just there were no platforms for us. All the main design people and illustrators I saw weren't Latina, weren't Latine. And in San Diego, where I am, all the people that were the like top designers of the names that people knew, none of them. They were usually male, and they were white male and not Latine. So when I started, I was like, we're here. Like, I'm a Latina graphic designer, and that really motivated me to start going and to have something. It wasn't something to prove, but I did want to be at a place where I could have, I guess, some sort of platform to show fellow Latinas that I'm a Latina, I'm doing design, I'm doing illustration. If you are, you can too. And so that was like always in the back of my head. And I really hope that is inspiring some Latinas. I don't know, but I really hope so.
So before we end, we have some rapid fire questions. The first question is, what is your favorite color?
Pink and yellow.
What is some advice that you wish that you would have known when you were younger?
That's a good question. I guess that not all paths are linear and have to be like what they teach you. I feel like my path has been, for the most part, very different to what commonly, especially like in a Mexican household, my path looks different than what was taught to me was the norm. And I feel like I've learned it with the years, but I wish someone would have told me, like, it's okay if you end up there. It's okay if you choose different paths. So I guess that.
Describe yourself as a teenager in 3 words.
Creative, moody, and sociable.
If you could have any superpower, what superpower would you have?
I was thinking immediately in being invisible, but maybe not. Maybe teletransportation, so I could appear in different places.
Yes. If you could have 3 people, dead or alive, for dinner, who would it be?
Yayitzel would be one of them. Let me think of the other ones. Maybe my grandparents, because they passed when I was really young, and that would have been really fun. Yeah.
What does success for you mean right now?
Being happy, feeling emotionally at peace, and financially stable.
And lastly, what is a book that you have read recently or are currently reading that you would recommend?
So I'm actually in the process, I have it right here. I took off the book cover, but the Vanishing half,
Oh, okay.
I'm in the process of reading that. I'm really liking it. I'm not done yet, but I've heard great things about it, so probably can recommend it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Itzel. We learned a lot about you. Thank you for taking your time out of your day to sit down and talk with us. Can you let everyone at home know about any upcoming projects and where they can connect with you?
Yes, I'm working on my holiday collections right now, so I'm going to have a lot of stuff dropping in maybe from October to December, October, November for sure. So yeah, I have big collections dropping, a lot of new products I hadn't made before. So I'm super excited about that. And you can find me on my Instagram at Yayitzel, and you can find my shop at yaylandia.com.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.